Dude. I think I covered this before you did, actually. I mean, I covered the Sam Cedar segment of it with the two kids that he had talking about it, and they were like super bitter. All right, let's see how bitter you're going to be about this. Okay, let's go.
Miranda performed by the cast of Hamilton. Because, as you all probably know, I despise liberals, like with my heart. I just like to the very core, I am disgusted by the way that they operate. They are so focused on the aesthetics. They're so lame. Like they are so incredibly lame. It just gives me like a brain aneurysm. That's me. This is a Photoshop photo. I was not at January 6th insurrection, although, you know, people say hindsight is 2020. In hindsight, I wish I was at the January 6th insurrection.
That's got to be hard for the FBI, right? That's got to be hard for the FBI because they were using facial recognition from social media postings to try and figure out who was there. So if there's Photoshops out there, like placing people in the crowd that actually weren't there, that's going to be hard. I used to work for a company that sold facial recognition technology. We sold to law enforcement agencies, including those in DC, okay? I'm just being real with you, all right? Oh, and the FBI.
Alongside my comrades, my patriots, you know, the lovely, beautiful American patriots that stormed the halls of the Capitol, knowing that their cause was righteous. Homie's wearing a Free Kyle shirt, even back then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just so you don't get like all freaked out that the dude's talking about like wanting to be in the insurrection. I'm detecting a strong level of sarcasm here.
A lot of you probably fucking found my stream for the first time on this day. Probably a bunch of people came in for the first time to watch America make a fool of itself, okay? An otherwise incredibly routine process that no one even fucking knew about, like the certification of votes that's happening in Congress, turned into a bunch of incredibly out of shape fucking psychotic weirdos who flew in for the occasion, trying to disrupt the process and successfully doing so, and getting whipped up into a frenzy by Donald Trump and numerous other psychotic weirdos who are not in prison, by the way. Okay, Alex Jones and so many others agitated people into basically taking action, and they fucking did. They absolutely did. And here we are, a year later.
Say it. That Max Blumenthal was there too. So was the Convo Couch. How come they haven't fucking been picked up yet? Not only were they there, they were egging it on. They were encouraging it. Why haven't they fucking been picked up?
Nothing has changed. Things are way worse. Liberals only fucking care about the aesthetics of this situation. They literally cry nonstop about how, like, oh, this was worse than the Civil War. This was worse than 9/11. This is the worst thing that happened to the American democracy. Think about how many cops had their fifis hurt after that. Like, that was so bad. And then on the other hand, Republicans are like, they went from stating that this was Donald Trump's fault and that this was a bridge too far to immediately being like, no, it was actually good. January 6th was fucking poggers. I loved it and it was great. And I was there and I was like also punching Nancy Pelosi. Fuck you. There is like a sea of misinformation about January 6th in general. It's been covered endlessly,
okay,
obviously.
Wait. I need to understand what your definition of liberals is, if that's like your interpretation of this. Because the people who are doing that do not define themselves as liberals. They define themselves as progressives, in quotations.
But perhaps the worst approach to January 6th is one that liberals are engaging in where they're like, my feelings were hurt on January 6th. These sacred halls have been destroyed. These hallowed halls have been destroyed.
Oh, come on, Hassan. There were people targeted for assassination on that day. You know it. Seriously, dude, did you watch the impeachment trial? Did you watch the... I know you like Jamie Raskin. I know you do, because I'm quite certain that you already covered how rad he is. Maybe it was David Dole. Oh, you guys kind of look similar. But Jamie Raskin presented, and his entire team, presented such great arguments about what happened on that day and how close that mob came to actually killing people. And people died on that day too. The footage is so scary. The footage is so scary. I'm sure Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been having to have therapy. Like, I know she was massively affected by it. And I think she has already said that she's going to therapy because as a result of it. She's afraid to go to events as a result of this because they target her so fucking hard. They target her so hard. It's crazy how much they target her. It's very scary. And Jimmy Dore's a part of that. Jimmy Dore, the Convo Couch, all of those bullshit people who were egging on this insurrection are a part of actually targeting her for death threats and the potential of being killed.
By terrorist, scary men. And it's like, dude, who gives a fuck, dude? Who cares about the sanctity of those halls? I put my dick in that hall, okay? Shut the fuck up. It is literally the most annoying way to look at a situation where you literally watch one of the first instances of systemic collapse, like widespread systemic collapse. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. And you go and you look at that and you go, we need to listen to Hamilton until everyone is a good American and not a bad one. Like, shut.
Okay, you're finally getting to the actual point, but your commentary up to this point was inaccurate, insensitive, off the mark. Because it was a very serious situation. And what your point should be is that they are trying to memorialize it in a really weird way. When it was actually an incredibly traumatic experience for everybody involved.
The fuck up. 10 more January 6th are going to happen with infinitely worse frequency and worse magnitude if liberals keep up this attitude and approach, okay? How could you not use the most, like, politically gift wrap thing? It was literally gift wrap with a bow to you. This is a feeding frenzy. It should have been a feeding frenzy for the Democratic Party, but then, of course, it just turned into procedural bullshit and a lot of fucking posturing in the most liberal way possible. It's literally this tweet of last year. A liberal insurrection would have looked very different. We would have escorted the original Broadway cast of Hamilton into the galleries. They would have softly sing, history has its eyes on you, as members of the GOP spewed their lies. Yeah, that mentality is so fucking stupid. Anyway, it's so lame, but it's content. So let's start. Good. Obviously, we're gonna also make fun of the hogs. Don't get me wrong. This is a hog day. Okay, this is a hog holiday. First, I'm gonna give a little bit to the libs, and then I'm gonna give a lot of bit to the hogs.
Begin. Swish this sour liquid in your mouth before bed to regrow your teeth and gums before you sleep, and never need a dentist again. Scientists.
Begin the conversation. We're privileged to have a contribution from one of the great creative talents of our time.
So, okay. Is this like a thing that you guys all are like, hey, we're all going to cover the same stuff. We're going to have the same messaging. Do you guys have a writer too? Is that what's happening here? Because I know you're related to Chang. At least that's what somebody told me, right? Sam Cedar's show has covered this. Nobody is talking about the fact that whoever wrote that message for Lin-Manuel Miranda was a DNC consultant. Nobody's talking about this. That what he said mirrored exactly what Harley Ruda said in his concession, and Harley was most certainly using a consultant who was giving him terrible advice. Why is nobody talking about this? Do you guys have a writer too? Are you just like, you're not deep enough into the weeds to see it? What's going on here?
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I have so much internally. I have so much to say. If you grew up in a white supremacist society and your entire life your dad's told you, like, be an individual, be an American, be self-reliant, whatever. And then you grow up and you realize that, like, maybe the world that your father, your pappy lived in is a lot different than the world now. And you're seeing some of those changes directly in front of your eyes. Obviously the economic shifts are impossible for you to comprehend because it's not happening in front of your eyes, but the social shifts that are changing are...
Folks, okay. Why do I know it's a consultant? Harley literally said that he was given a list of vendors that he could contract with when he was running. He did say that back in the 2018 cycle. The DNC came out and said that they would boycott any vendors that supported Democratic primary challengers to incumbents. The D-Tripsy. I mean, these look, they share the same vendors list. Let's be real. You get on one list, you're going to be on the rest of them. That is how it works. It's like, there's a term for that, actually. I can't remember what it is because I haven't been writing proposals now for about 1.5 years. But there are these, like, God, it's like a piggyback or something, where once you get on one list, you get on a bunch of lists. There is a vendor that they're using. There's a consultant vendor that they're using to do all this, and none of you are talking about it. How is it? Like, seriously. Oh, you guys. You're not talking about it. Instead, you're just, like, reacting to their bad messaging, but you're not talking about, like, why this is happening and, like, what it is exactly. It's the consultants list. It's the consultants list. There is a vendor. Not only do I know it through all of that and through my proposal experience and my analysis of the situation, but like I said, I know people in politics locally who have coordinated with the consultant who does this bullshit. They came up with the messaging of hashtag country over party for the 2020 cycle, and it fucking failed. It was horrible. Everybody who used it, like, Harley used it. I'm fairly certain Gil used it. I know the dude down in San Diego, he used it. Christy Smith used it. They were all using the same consultant. They all fucking lost.
Happening in front of your eyes. So the only thing you see is like, well, okay, now black people get to fucking coexist, or gay people get to coexist. And then there's one party that's doing all the agitprop on the fucking planet to tell you, like, no, it's actually not the economic shift that has fucked up your life. It's not the outsourcing of labor. It's not the fucking lack of labor unions and, like, community support that you could once get. It's not the fact that, like, you are less and less powerful in a political capacity or have any sort of political momentum now. It has nothing to do with the material. We're going to mystify class as best as possible and tell you that it's actually black people that's the problem, and the liberals who gave black people rights, and it's actually the lazy people that are the problem, and it's actually fucking, your fellow Americans that are the problem. And then you see all that and you get fucking riled up your whole goddamn life. You have no access to, like, a diverse learning environment in any meaningful capacity, and then you go on television and this is the first thing you see. This is, like, your options are one guy telling you a false narrative that corresponds to your worldview and what you have seen in front of you, and then the other guy is literally doing this.
To call your attention to
a new year brings hope for the future, new energy to face the tasks ahead of us, and a renewed...
How? There is 0% chance you're a Democrat after this. There's 0% chance. I'm sorry. Like, I get it.
But they keep doing this performative bullshit. They have been for a long time. Like, remember when they put on all the why did they even do that? I can't even, like, it was so weird that I don't even remember now why they did it. Oh, was it? Oh, it was one of the killings, right? It was like one of the police killings. No, was it? When they put on, like, the African garb and they looked like the Lion King. what the hell was that shit? Like, somebody is very poorly advising the Democratic Party leaders. And let's be real, they're too old. Some of these people need to, and I've said this about other organizations as well. Some of y'all need to step down and become advisors, be emeritus, share your knowledge with us, but you no longer are in touch. You don't get it. You're not relatable. You gotta stop telling the rest of us how to do this, because you made Manuel Miranda look stupid here.
If you grew up in fucking Missouri, okay, and you're taking over your father's like HVAC business, and they're watching Fox News non-fucking stop, and on Fox News every night they're saying like, they're showing this non-stop, and they're saying, this is the problem. Look, they don't give a fuck about you. They're making fun of you. They don't even care about the January 6th bullshit. You were a patriot. You were a patriotic person. You were doing your fucking duty. You were doing your due diligence, and you were out there. And then now the FBI's coming after you, and the liberals hate you, and also they're fucking, pedophiles. Look at the Clintons. Look at Jeffrey Epstein. They're pedophiles. Like, they add a little bit of truth to it as well, and give you a little bit of a seasoning of a fucking truth, crumb of truth, while simultaneously fucking feeding you all of these racial agitated propaganda points and these lies. And then the alternative on the other side is basically like, here, let's watch.
Why do you keep talking about seasoning? Like, I'm gonna have to look this up. Are you using that term appropriately? Because I mean, when you say seasoning, I'm imagining like you're putting olive oil on a cast iron pot. Like, I'm so confused by this. I don't know why you keep using that expression, but I'm gonna look that up.
Lin-Manuel Miranda after the January to really unpack our feelings about January 6th. If that happens, yeah, you're 100% a Republican for the rest of your life. No shot. No shot. Why the fuck would you ever grow?
No, they're not. Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong, because they don't trust the Republicans either. They're either going to be declined to state, no party preference, or libertarians, or Green Party. But they're not, no. They are not going to be into the duopoly, right? So, I mean, I've seen this happen with local people. I've seen this happen with my locals. That we had the two kids who were running for San Clemente. Jackson Hinkle has become a Jimmy Dore and Nick Brana stooge. So he's like People's Party now, right? But the other one that ran with him, his running mate, Jake Ribchick, he went to the Green Party. And he was dropping a bunch of Green Party stuff in my groups, and my brother came after him. And I told my brother, I'm like, look, if this is, if there's anybody who can get into the Green Party and actually, try and reform it and do some change to it, it's going to be this kid, because he's actually pretty ambitious and he understands it. So there are, there's people out there with their own ambitions and ideas of how they're going to get things done. But no, they're not going to go become Republicans. That's not what's going to fucking happen. They're going to be no party preference, decline to state, or they're going to go to some weird third party. That's what's going to fucking happen.
Growing up in like middle America, ever look at these dudes and not think that they are elitist, out of touch shitheads? Because they fucking are, dude. They are. They are elitist. They are out of touch. At least the Republicans, who are also elitist, out of touch shitheads that went to the exact same institutions, by the way. Okay? They are classmates. These motherfuckers went to Stanford, Yale, Harvard. They're all classmates with one another. But at least one side makes it seem like they do that yee-yee shit, okay? They do that like, yeah, I wear snakeskin boots, brother. I'm just as stupid as you. I'd fuck my cousin too, brother. Come on, vote for me, not the brown lady. They do that after getting a fucking liberal arts institution education from like Wesleyan, and then they fucking turn around and act like they're just as yee-yee as you are. Of course you're gonna go for the yee-yee boy, okay? At least one speaks like me, and he hates CRT, which I'm told is terrible and terrifying. And I should.
That's because they have better consultants. They're better at messaging. I had this conversation with an activist in Texas about how the reason Ted Cruz beat Beto O'Rourke was because his messaging was simple and stupid. It was relatable to the voters. They have better consultants. And this is one of the things that I've been talking about for years, is that, you know, you've got your Democrats who run and try and get the progressive vote in the primary, and then they try and move more to the center after the primary. And it's not that they need to move more to the center, which is, this is a stupid, I don't know which consultant is fucking telling them this bullshit. It's not that they have to move more to the center, it's that they have to simplify their messaging, just like the Republicans do. They have to come up with more simple messaging so that it's relatable to voters who don't pay attention. It's got to be simpler. Kind of like that's one of the reasons President Obama won in 2008, is he used very simple messaging, hope, change, you know, and he told us he did the empty promises just like anybody else. People come down hard on that dude, but he literally was doing the same thing as everybody else. He was giving us empty campaign promises.
Be angry about it. It's like, bitch, you don't have enough money to fucking put food on the table. What the fuck? Engage in a moment of self-reflection for one fucking breath, okay? I know this shit sucks. I know this shit is awful. If you're a Republican, or if you have fucking Republican relatives who, you know, you've convinced to watch me, ask them to just, like, think for a brief moment. Like, is that what's wrong with this country? CRT.
Oh, God, my Republican relatives don't talk to me anymore. Let's be real. No. I've lost, like, all of my conservatives. They, my Republicans will not talk to me anymore because they're so scared of what I'm doing. They're scared of what I'm doing. So this is a reality for a lot of activists out there, that when you put the work in and you're actually making the change, they're fucking scared of you. So yeah, I've lost my Republican relatives.
Being taught to fucking children, or is that what the television man told you should be angry about? Because your fears are not coming from that point of view. Your fears are happening because you are uncertain about your future. You're uncertain about your economic future. You're uncertain if you can, you know, make those car payments. You're uncertain if you can ever buy a house or not. That's what your fucking real fears are. When you put your head on the pillow at night, you're not thinking about CRT. You're not thinking about Antifa. You're thinking about that shit. And neither party expresses any sort of interest even on solving those underlying material problems that keep you up at night. QAnon shaman watching the cast of Hamilton sing Dear Theodosia as a tear rolls down his cheek. He takes his Viking helmet off and throws it into a fire. I believe in democracy now, he says to himself. I think this country sucks, and it's just fun now, okay? Just, you know, protect your own. I sound so, like, reactionary when I say this, but...
Okay, I'll give you, like, whatever the hell it is that he's going to say next. But then I'm going to wrap up because I don't have enough space on my phone to cover the whole thing. Plus, it's 42 fucking minutes long. Like, you seriously went off on a tangent this long, dude? Oh my God, even. I'll drop the link to it when I load this to YouTube.
I just, you know, just enjoy it. Just enjoy the show. Just sit back and enjoy the fucking show, okay? It's content.
Yee, we did it, boys.
Oh my God! Oh my God! My point is this. The way I see it, it's just like there's nothing I can do, okay? I try, and I will continue to try, and you should as well, okay, to at the very least engage in harm reduction and try to fucking change your own and others' material realities. But having said that, it's just like, you know, this is enjoy the fucking ride as well. You know what I mean? Enjoy the ride, because...
Okay, here's the thing. This is what I said on the last video too. You have to understand that y'all try to get the young people to vote. We haven't. We've been trying to get the young people to vote for a long ass time. But the people who actually vote are not in that age bracket. Okay? And the fact is, Hamilton is such an incredibly popular production that it was like near impossible to get tickets. And the tickets were upwards of $400 for fucking nosebleed seats. Okay? So it is a beloved production. They know it sells. They know that it's buyable. You're missing the point here. But what you're trying to say is, okay, kids are not going to understand this. The younger generations they're not going to relate to this, and but what you're doing by constantly berating this stuff is like, y'all attack the Democratic side of the House far more than the GOP side of the House. You really do. And that's not fair. That's not fair. Because yes, they are bad at messaging. They're bad at messaging. But the concepts, the legislation that they're pushing is far more in our favor than what the GOP is trying to push. And so just because the GOP has better consultants and better messaging does not mean that you should get in the way of us trying to get the legislation that we need. If you want to criticize them, what you should be criticizing them for is the fact that they're weak, that they're unwilling to fight as hard as the GOP, that they are trying too hard to negotiate with and have bipartisan legislation. That's some bullshit. If you've got the advantage in this situation, start pushing through the shit we need. Be strong, because apparently Americans like strength, and you're missing that. And that should be part of your messaging, is that you're fucking strong. But you can't even say that. You can't say that you're strong. That's what you guys are missing right here. I'll drop the link to this video, but I think you all are missing the mark too. I think you're all missing the mark too.